there's just something about the Darkwave sound, something that just kind of like sucks you in my opinion. I think there's so many like land or soundscapes that you can use with synthesizers, which is my favorite thing to play. And then just all the bass. There's just so much that you can do with it, and I find that we haven't done that before. So I was like, let's, we were talking about trying something different, and we're like, let's go do this. And I don't know, it just really feels good.
Bob Ruckus,
Nick Collins,
Kate Clover,
Keith Semple,
Isaiah Mitchell,
Billy Harvey,
Tim Howard. Check it out, Almost Famous Magazine.
Hey everyone, welcome back to The Hang, brought to you by Almost Famous Magazine. I'm your host, Scott Saldinger. Thank you for coming to hang with us, getting to know musicians, learning the stories well beyond the music, really getting to know who they are. If you're new to the channel, thank you for showing up. You know the obligatory things to do. You got a thumbs up, you got a like, you got to subscribe, all the good stuff to help us and our artists get some more attention. If you're returning because you really like us, and you haven't told your friends yet, what in the world are you waiting for? Please help a brother out. Also, if you prefer to take us on the go, maybe you prefer your podcast in your ears and not in front of your face, well, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more. Today on The Hang, we're joined by dark electronic duo Jessica Perry and Jim Finley, known as Ghostbells. They're making serious waves with their debut album, Catacouture. It's a hypnotic blend of icy new wave, 90s EBM, and modern darkwave, built for neon-lit dance floors and late-night introspection. I'll be perfectly honest, as I was prepping this, I'm like, I'm not sure I'm in the right environment today for their music, but we're going to make the most of it. From their breakout single, Darkness Saves, to the haunting visions of The Color, this New York-based project channels themes of longing, romance, shadows, and shadow into a cinematic sonic world. You can hear the theater of the mind. They've put a lot of attention into creating images in your head. They're building an atmosphere, and today we're diving into how Ghostbells turn darkness into something magnetic, immersive, and impossible to ignore. I'm thrilled to have Jessica and Jim with us. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And hey, everybody, I'm just going to preface everything. Jim had a little vocal surgery. He's not in the best of voice, so we may just get a little more Jessica than Jim, but we'll give him a little grace. That him getting his voice back is the most important thing. So I wish you all the best in your recovery. Let's start at the beginning, right? Something led us to being here today, and it's your relationship with music. Jessica, how did your relationship with music start? Did you find music, or did music find you? And how did that relationship build to where you are now with Ghostbells?
Well, I came from a musical family. My dad's a drummer, piano player, singer, and so he was always like playing music around the house since I was little. And I actually started taking piano lessons with his piano teacher when I was 4, and kind of built from there. Although piano kind of developed into synthesizers and stuff like that as I got older, but that's pretty much where my journey started, and I've been playing ever since then and picking up different instruments along the way.
What's the experience been like learning music, figuring it out, and finding not only your own voice, but how you connect with it? What's that been like?
I think, there's always room to continuously learn anything, right? And so I feel like to where I am now, it was definitely a lot of different things leading up to this. And I feel what I play now is, I'll list you a few of the instruments. So piano, guitar, bass, French horn is one of my instruments that is not very goth, but it's fun, and trumpet too. And so I learned a lot of theory, a lot of how to like read music, what makes music music. And I think that kind of like gives a little bit to the songwriting experience, because having kind of like a background knowledge of that kind of stuff is important. And then as far as like genre wise, kind of like how I grew into what I like, I think when I was 12 was when I became like cognizant about what different genres were, and not just listening to stuff that's on the radio. And I kind of found a home inside of nu metal. I know a lot of people hate on nu metal. I do not care. That's like one of my favorite genres ever. I love nu metal. I love industrial music a lot, and like darkwave, of course, goth music. And I think that kind of stuff really spoke to me on like an emotional, mental level, and I kind of just like been veering that way ever since.
Nice. I don't know if you're up for it, Jim. Do you want to give us a couple words on your relationship with music and how things started?
I started like most people, just joining bands, vocalist in bands, and always interested in the recording side as well. So whatever band I was in, I was the person trying to record the band and all that sort of thing. So yeah, it's just a similar journey.
Yeah. So how did the two of you come together to create Ghostbells? Tell me that story, Jessica.
I think like it was like the scene. We were both kind of involved in the same music scene for a while, but like not directly involved. And then a mutual friend of ours was like, "Hey, you guys should like collab." Like, okay. And so he introduced us, and we've been working together ever since. And I think that worked out. We find that we write really well together. So
So randomly, a friend put you together. What do you think sparked the collaboration and creativity that kind of energizes Ghostbells?
I think like once we got into the studio to just try something, it was kind of like, okay, we have a good understanding of how each other works, and I think we think along the same lines when it comes to sound and what we think is like the thing to make the song work, right? And we come to agreement on a lot of those things. And I think whenever you work with someone with a similar mindset, it makes things super easy. And so yeah, when we first started working on, actually, The Color was our first song ever that we worked on together, even though it's like the latest song to come out. But yeah, we tried it. We just went in there and it kind of just came together very effortlessly, which was kind of scary. I was like, oh, that was too easy. It feels weird. Because like when you're writing music, it's not always easy to just be like, here we go. But something about that really worked.
Yeah. I'm curious about as a fellow trumpet player. I'm curious about this. I recently had Rome's. I don't know if if you've heard of Rome's or not. They're like
Mm-mm.
a punktronic duo. They're brothers,
Cool.
and we were talking because the album has a female voice on it, and it's two brothers, right?
Hmm.
And I'm like, okay, who did you recruit to be the female voice? And one goes, well, that's me. So they heavily processed his voice, made some changes, whatnot. So what's holding you back from taking trumpet and French horn into the musical palette that you're using for your music?
Actually, you're so right. So, Jim, I hope you're ready. I'm going to bring my French horn with me next time. But, it's funny because, like, during COVID times, I'm just in my house and I have my French horn. So I started doing, like, just like little covers of whatever was, like, around on French horn. Um, so it could definitely work. You could put, like, a little, like, electronic kind of, like, distortion on it, and you never know what would happen. So, hmm.
You know what? And that's where I think that's where you find your ability to stand out in a crowd because I mean you're in the Houston area and there's a band down there, Easy Band. I don't know if you've heard of them. Certainly
I feel
not
like I
within your
have.
genre, but they've taken creative uh, they've taken creative risks being a Norteña Tejano band and then like doing Adele in English, right? Or
Hmm.
doing Taylor Swift. And the way that they're willing to take those risks, I think, is what really helps artists stand out in music more now today than ever because it's so easy given the technology to fall into all sounding the same. So,
True.
I definitely would challenge you to, get that French horn in the studio for sure.
And
Distort the hell out of it.
yeah, I do have a purple trumpet, so it kind of fits with the color scheme, so that could be right on stage too.
Yeah. So, now, what was it about kind of Darkwave and all that really drew you in, right? I mean, it's on the on the landscape of different musical genres, right? It's a little further out there than most. What really spoke to you about it and got you to the point where you're like, this is where I want to put my creative effort and energy.
I think like at least for me, I'm also like very open-minded when it comes to music. I listen to everything, and as a musician myself, I think that I've dabbled in a little bit of everything, like just sitting at home messing around, creating different little songs here and there, different genres, and I think there's just something about the darkwave sound, something that just kind of like sucks you in my opinion. I think there's there's so many like land like or soundscapes that you can use with synthesizers, which is my favorite thing to play. And then just all the bass. There's just so much that you can do with it, and I find that we haven't done that before. So I was like, let's, we were talking about trying something different, and we are like, let's go do this. And I don't know, it just really feels good in that genre there.
Mm. Jim, yeah, what I was going to ask you, what draws you to the genre?
I love the feeling of the music. There's something, it's the contrast, it's the darkness, but there's also this beautiful component. Like, you'll have maybe just Crystal Castles was one of our favorite bands, and they would have this really distorted things, and then they would have the, Alice Glass's vocal would be really beautiful, or it would be really distorted, but the track would be really beautiful. So I think it's the contrast for me.
Nice, nice. Let's talk about the album. I'm a big I'm a front to back kind of person. Kind of miss the days that we used to have where you just sit down and immerse yourself with it. I'm building my niece's record collection because in her teen years she found records, and it's just this experience for her, and she'll sit there for the whole thing. But the truth of the matter is, we live in this world of shuffle, right? We live in the on-demand, I just want to hear this song. So for people who haven't heard you and they're learning about you today, right? Where do you think they should start with your music as kind of that musical appetizer to really draw them in? Which song or songs in your collection on your album? I don't know. Are they really albums anymore? They're collections, I guess. I don't know. Unless you make vinyl, but where do you feel people should start so they're like, it's the hook, right? It's the appetizer to the full meal. What do you think, Jessica?
I think Darkness Saves is a really good place to start for an appetizer. And I think that it has a lot of the elements that Ghostbells is, which is that dark kind of like brooding sound, and then kind of like the little haunting vocal melodies on top. And we like to write, I don't know, I feel like they call them earworms, but like hooks that are memorable. And I feel like that song has a lot that can get stuck in your head for a few days. So.
Yeah. What does darkness mean to you? Or Darkness Saves means to you? What's your story behind the song, and where the lyrics came from, and the sentiment you're trying to express?
So when I write stuff, I kind of don't. I just, in the studio, we just go in, and when I go in the vocal booth, I don't really have any like pre-planned ideas. I kind of just, whatever is coming out is coming out. And the thing with that is that it's not always solid what I say, because sometimes I make up like that's not a real word, to like rephrase that. But we do keep stuff from there. So, but yeah, so Darkness Saves has like a lot of that kind of stuff, but I'll tell you the story about it too.
Well, I'm just before you do that, I gotta say, there is one huge hit that is very well known to have started the same exact way lyrically. And funny because I just saw old David Letterman video, mocking the way that Phil Collins created Susudio. I mean, that's exactly how he came up with that, right? So, if that could be the key to success, is that improvisation. So, talk to me a little about the story, but I had to pull that one out because I think that puts you on a good track.
Yeah,
that and French horn.
Yeah. But yeah, so like the first like words in that okay, so it kind of like sets the tone. This one I kind of like wanted to try a story thing for it, and so the story of Darkness Saves is kind of like a succubus in a graveyard luring you in and trapping you for eternity. And so that's what that song's about. And sometimes when I sing stuff, I'll sing either from experience but in a metaphor so that it can relate to anybody and not just myself. Or I'll talk about things that I may or may not have done, like luring people into graveyards and killing them, But that kind of stuff I think is cool because it's just whatever my brain is feeling, I kind of just, whatever the vibe is that day. But anyway, so Darkness Saves is a story about the succubus and the graveyard. And I can see it in my head, like when I listen to the song, I kind of like picture it out like I'm a big daydreamer, so kind of just thinking about stuff.
Let me ask you, and for the record, there is no actual proof anywhere in the world that she's dragged anyone into a graveyard. So because this will live out on the internet, and you know how people, I don't know, they misconstrue and I don't know everything, right?
I don't
But
know.
I'm curious about when you're not making your music, are you a big film fan? Like, because it seems like your thoughts and your writing are very filmic.
Well, it's funny you say that because I used to do a lot of directing a while back and cinematography stuff, and actually that's what I started going to school for my degree and was like directing and cinematography. And so I think that probably does like lend a bit to the way my brain kind of lays stuff out. So it's interesting because I actually never put that together myself. So I think you just opened up my brain a little bit.
Well, I mean, with songs about ghost and immortality and immortal lover, the wrath. I mean, it definitely goes along with this idea of creating some cinema, of the mind with your lyrics and the songs. So,
Hmm.
um, I definitely think that whether you realized it or not, there's got to be some influence there for sure.
Yeah.
Jim, did you ever notice that? Did you ever think about that?
Yeah, I mean, when we work on the music, it's most of the time it's Jessica has the concept right away. She just dives right into the song, and but usually as soon as I hear some of the lyrics, it's it's like a person. It's like two people with one brain, like she was saying a minute ago. It's it's really immediate uh, for me as
Oh,
well.
nice, nice. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely I can see it, and I think that's another sign of great opportunity for you to connect with an audience, right?
Yeah,
Because the lyrics just don't lay there, and there are many songs where the that connection is what matters, right? Being able to create that in your mind. Um, Jessica, I'm curious. We all live in this world where we come into contact with tons and tons of people. Consider it sliding doors, I guess, if we're going to make a movie reference. Um, but has there been someone who's come into your life during and made an impact on your music, your musical uh, career, that whether they stuck with you for a short period of time or an extended period of time, they had a moment where they made a monumental impact on you and you take that with you through your journey? There's someone who's impacted you like that?
I think like I mean, not necessarily someone that I'm like directly like in contact with all the time, but like I was telling you, when I was younger, I was really into new metal, right? And the Korn is one of my favorite bands ever in my life, ever in my life. And I actually met the singer Jonathan Davis, and he was very kind to me. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to be kind to everybody that I meet. Obviously, that's just how you should be. But I just think like the way that he writes his vocal style, he's very exposed, and the stuff he says is pretty deep, but it's also a little metaphorical. And I think that kind of really influenced the way that I also wanted to write my stuff, because I was able to take his song lyrics about something that is like totally unrelated to myself, but yet apply it to myself and be like, okay, this is my situation too, and something that's going on in my life. And so I think that that was like very, very monumental for me. That's just how I've been writing ever since then. Just kind of like that. So, but it was really, it's just nice when you meet someone that you actually look up to, and that they're kind to you and accept you openly, and that's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and to make we just I think we go through life just dropping little pieces of ourselves onto others, and
Hmm.
it's up to the recipient to take it and let it grow. And I think that also creates our legacy for the day that we're no longer here, right? When they
Right.
share those stories, when you share those stories on. Has there been anyone for you, Jim, in your career?
yes, I had a when I was working on my music degree years ago, I had a music two teacher, professor rather, that was the most difficult human being I have ever met in my entire life. But I hated the guy for an entire 2 semesters. But looking back on it now, the things that I learned from him, I still use every day. So I would say probably that person.
You know, Yeah, I mean, one of the people in my life that really pushed me hard was a film because I went to film school. I was a film professor, and he was the most honorary bastard you'd ever meet. Right?
Yeah.
Show up late for a meeting, kicks you out. Right? Decides he doesn't like your view, doesn't talk to you, and he was really harsh and really direct. Do you know what? Some of the greatest lessons I've ever learned are the things that he gave me and that I take because he pushed me that much harder. So I think when we have an opportunity to not always meet people like-minded or like-aligned, but those who challenge us, give us some of those great moments and some of those great things to take with us for sure. Um, You've been on the road. You've got the album has been out. What's next? Have you already started writing? Is there another album? Or I keep saying album. I really got to figure out what these are these days, right? Because they're I don't know. I just don't know. It's a weird time in music. But
Hmm.
what are you working on for next? Is there anything in the hopper?
Well, we have so many unreleased songs still. Before we released the songs that you hear right now, we wrote like, I don't know, we have like 12 million, 12 something songs, I think, that are like, if not more. But yeah, and so there's a lot that still hasn't been released yet, but we're constantly writing because I think that's the way to do it is just be consistent and don't stop. And because you know how like I don't know, maybe not everyone thinks like this, but sometimes a band puts out an album and you're like, I love this, and they put out their other album and they're like, what is this? Like, this is not what I'm used to with this band. I think there's always room to grow and develop, but I think you can't really lose sight of the thing that made you you, right? And so I think consistently writing and never stopping always keeps you in that set of, like, that frame of mind, I guess, to have what you started with because you never stopped to begin with. So yes, we are still writing, and there's still a whole bunch of songs that haven't come out yet, but you know, soon. So.
Well, let me ask you this because you're hitting on something that I was having dinner with a musician on Monday night, and they had a Dallas stop for a performance, and we were talking about like what's next, and he's like, I think we got an album in us. I think we have an album, but there are so many bands and so many artists now that just put those songs out, right? They write them, and some people have a goal of once a month. And the idea of what you're talking about that, you put out an album and then the next one isn't quite what you expected. It's not maybe what you wanted. Maybe there is something to the thought of constantly, putting out a song a month and allowing your audience to continue to have a metamorphosis in your creative journey as opposed to dropping a collection of songs on them and suddenly it's shocking to them. I wonder if there's something to that.
I could see that too. Like whenever we were first releasing music, it was kind of like that. It was like once every couple months we release a new song and let people digest that, you know. And it's interesting because the feedback that we gotten, people are like, "Oh, I want to hear a whole album at once." Like, okay, cool, great, I love that. And then some people are really cool with just releasing singles, but I like both. I don't think there's a necessarily a specific right or wrong way, right? But I think I also kind of lean towards the singles because I don't know, there's something exciting about hearing the song and then a few weeks later is the music video and or the lyric video and then letting that kind of like compile into a collection, which is like the route that we did. Because now you have like the album with all the songs that we did release as singles together. So I think that kind of takes the best of both worlds, you know. But it's interesting.
It is because you know we're in an interesting time just based on the fact that there's no right or wrong anymore.
Hmm.
It's just do it, right? And
Yeah.
do what works best for you. Fit yourself into the emerging scope of the technology we have. I mean, Peter Gabriel's doing this, who legendarily took, I don't know, lifetimes between albums. Has his last album and the new one. Every month he's putting out another song. He's putting out two different mixes, and then at the end of the once he gets to the end of those tracks, he's going to put it out as one big, collection. So, it's to me, it's fascinating because and I was talking on another episode about this. Being a musician is not necessarily just being a musician anymore. Being a filmmaker is not necessarily being a filmmaker. Being a writer or a painter, it's being this creative and keeping that creative piece going, because we live in this world of, ever changing attention spans. Right. So I
Right.
don't know what's right or wrong, but I find it interesting that once you set down that course, kind of what the plan is to capitalize on it. Right.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I'm curious. I'm always curious. What are your feelings about the music business today? Because it's not what it used to be, and it's not you know, it's not just put something out and suddenly, your bank account fills up. Right. It's got a lot of challenges in it. If only, right?
Yeah.
If only it were those days. How do you feel about the work and effort you have to put in for the reward, and the things that keep you going in a business that it's for what it is, unless you're really out on the road selling a lot of merch, purchasing, music, not renting it. And I talk all the time, we have to support our artists. You don't just listen for free. Go support the artists that you love, financially. But how do you feel about that direction that things have gone in for what keeps you motivated to keep going?
As an artist, you have to do this because you love it. If you are doing it for any other reason, you're screwed. And that's it. We do it because we believe in the music, we believe in the art that we're making. We do everything with a plan. There's we shoot a video for every song. It's there's plenty of other things you can do in life to actually make substantial money. Um, the other part that people leave out is that this actually is a business. You can't just do fun, creative stuff and like make a bunch of songs. Then what are you going to do? What's the plan? So you have to have a plan, and you have to execute that plan every single day, 7 days a week. Jessica and I both are working on separate lists of things that have to get done. And that's really the truth. So if you want to just make music and put it out and have fun, you can do that. But don't complain about it. It's
Yeah.
it's work. You have to do the work.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I've met people over the years that they're focused on being the success, to what they believe is that large scale success, both, from the emotional reward that you receive from people who take in your art, but also from what they believe that they're going to financially reach. And you can always find people who want to get there, but do they have that plan? Do they have that determination? Do they have the focus? Right? Or do they just come and go? Um, on that note, though, I'm curious about this, because it does it. You put your heart and your soul into it, and your emotion, right? And we live in this world of constant feedback these days. And I don't know if that's good, bad, or otherwise, right? How do you keep your focus and keep yourself emotionally enriched when the fact of the matter is there are some people out there who will just do their darndest to kind of rain on someone's parade, whether it's yours or someone else's? What do you do so that you minimize any impact from people who behave that way?
I think for me, like, I just I don't really like agree with their if it's like something negative. I know what we're doing, and I know I love to as a listener as well, not just because I'm part of the band, but like, as a listener, I do like our stuff, and I'm like, I can jam with this. And so if I love it, then someone's hateful opinion or whatever they're trying to do doesn't really matter to me. And I think the more that I've learned growing up in life is to care less about what other people think and just do it because you want to do it, you love to do it. And the thing that I've also noticed that I tell other people if they say it to me, like, hey, someone said this about me, I'm like, they say that about you because they're envious that they're not doing what you're doing. And they're trying to bring you to their level, and that's the only way they know how. So you just have to ignore it and keep doing what you love to do. you're winning. So ignore them.
Yeah. It's because it's crazy because it's so easy to hit a button and respond. The challenge is to take a moment and go, wait a minute, where is this person? And why am I not going to allow them to impact me? There's the work.
Yeah.
And the choice is, do you do it or not? And some people are very quick to react and not think.
Right. And I think, they're doing that to get that reaction out of you. So don't give them what they want. Just be like, it doesn't bother me, like whatever. So
Yeah, we feel very secure in what we do, and we certainly get very strange comments all across our socials at times. But there are definitely times where something hits you the wrong way at the wrong time of the day or night. And of course, you would love to respond, but you can't do that. You have to move on, and the delete and remove and block button works great. Works.
Absolutely does. Absolutely does. When people come to your performances and you're going to have a little bit of a busy summer, you've got some things in the works. What can people expect from your performances? What do they get when they experience Ghostbells?
I think it's like a ritual, right? And so we will give you all of our energy, and they give us all of our energy. It just feels so good, and it's just so, I don't know, it's a magical experience for sure. We put in a lot of work into our show production, so we have a cool light show that Jim's programmed, and it's a really fun experience. We try to make it to where it's like you're immersed into it. So
Yeah, and we're at the merch booth after every performance. We try to meet everyone, chat with everyone. It's, I mean, that's what it's all about, is connecting with everyone at the show.
I think that's great. There are artists who they, no matter what the line is at the merch booth, some just don't come out. And I think making that connection with your audience and being present with them, because of their investment in you, is so important. It's so important these days, because it's easy. It's easier to lose someone than to gain someone, and you got to put that effort in to continue to gain fans and followers,
Jessica,
for sure.
Jessica, tell them the story about the guy with the tattoo.
oh yeah. Um, but yeah, I'll tell you that yeah, this is very cool. But I agree with you 1,000%. I think you know, people care so much about you as an artist, you should care about them. It's a whole energy thing. You give and you get back. So anyway, yes. So at this, we did this show. We were on tour in the UK recently, and at one of our shows, it was a very cool experience. Someone came up to us and said that they enjoyed the show so much that they wanted to get a Ghostbells tattoo, which did not exist before that. And so I very carefully and very anxiety filled because I didn't want to mess it up. I very carefully drew our like logo on his arm, and he legit got it tattooed that night. Sent us pictures, tagged on Instagram. I was like, "Yippee! Like that's so cool!" The first Ghost Bells tattoo, and I said, "Well, now I need to get one too." So, but yeah, I thought that was awesome. So cool.
I that is dedication. I love it. I love it. One of the things that we believe in is that if you keep things inside, nobody knows about them. But you've put good things out in the universe, you never know what could happen. And we've made some amazing things happen. People driving hours to go see an album release, reaching out to artists to collaborate, you name it. So one of the things I'm always interested in, because whether you have a bucket list or a vision board or whatever it is that you do to plan out your life, right? Is there someone that, if you had a chance to get in a studio for one day to collaborate with, who would it be, and why is that the person you'd like to collaborate? Jim, why don't you tell me first?
For me, it probably would be Sidewalks and Skeletons. Yeah,
Why?
I, I love the way he puts sounds together. There's some simplicity there, but there's also a lot of contrast. I just like the way he puts sounds together. There'll be some distortion stuff, but then there'll be some beauty in the songs. So I think that would probably be for me, the person, and I believe the guy's name is Ethan. And I just love the way he puts sounds together.
Well, anybody watching, if you're connected to Ethan in any way, shape, or form, we got to make Jim's dream collaboration come true. Jessica, who would yours be?
For me, I think a really cool collaboration would be with Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails. I could really see that working. So if he's watching, call us. I really love Nine Inch Nails too, and seeing them, I always go to see them live, and they put on such a great show. And just he comes from a classically trained background too. He's playing piano really well, and it's just cool to see the stuff that he creates. And I think that we could do something really cool together as well.
What were your thoughts on 9 Inch Noise coming out of Coachella?
Okay, so I didn't get to see all of it, but I found a recording of it, and I'm gonna sit down and just be still and watch it. But one of the coolest things was on this most recent tour. I went to see them in Houston. I flew to Vegas to see them as well, and they had Boys Noise with them. Like that was the opener for the tour, and so they did some of those songs together live. It's so good. It's so good, and I did not know about the Nine Inch Noise thing right yet, but I was like, this could be a really cool album. And then they announced that, I was like, oh, this is great. So yeah, amazing, super sick.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to see. I mean, I wasn't there. I watched it on, like most people. Thank goodness we have YouTube. You've got some some dates coming up this summer. You're going to be dropping music. We're going to make sure that all the links are down below, right, in the description, so that people can find you. Again, go out and support Ghostbells and all the artists that you are passionate about. It's important, vitally important, so that they can continue the great work that they're doing. That whether it's purchasing a song, whether it's buying a ticket, picking up some merch, no matter what merch you've got available, that you support bands. So please go out and support Ghostbells. Catch them this summer on tour. Look for their new song drops and their videos. And again, we'll have links below. The last thing that we kind of touch on here, because it's kind of interesting sometimes when, as being a creative, you're making something over here, but then in that off time, when you turn that little piece of your life off and you're like doing something for yourself, whether it's, you're out at the gym, you're walking the dog, you're taking a road trip, you're just listening to some things that really fulfill you. I'm always fascinated by what people listen to when they're not being creative themselves, what inspires them emotionally, or what fulfills them to recharge that creative energy. When you're not making music, Jim, what are you listening to?
Well, what really recharges me is actually not listening to music, because I'm known this is my studio here. So when I'm in the studio, which is basically every day, I'm constantly working on music, listening to other music, that sort of thing, to get out of here and to recharge. I'm a cyclist. I do quite a lot of cycling, and I'll do races and that sort of thing. And for me, it's cycling and just listening to random podcasts, to be honest.
Okay, Jim, this is gonna determine whether we can be friends or not. What do you ride? I'm a Trek guy.
Oh, I'm sorry, you ride a Trek. I'm a specialized S-Works all the way.
Yeah, no, I do. I mean, I consider myself a completer, not necessarily a competitor. I just want to get to the finish line. And down here in Texas, I'm in North Texas area. We have a lot of flatness. So I've done Hotter in Hell a few times, things like that. But the reason I don't ride Specialized, it's a much more aggressive posture than a Trek. Yeah. And I just don't feel comfortable feeling angled so down toward the road. It's just, I don't know, it's a feeling. So
very aggressive. My road bike's S-Works SL7, and then my cyclocross bike is the S Works Crux. Much less aggressive, but it's a cyclocross mic.
Yeah. I don't know. I need a little more flat for me, and not feeling like I'm going to fall over the handlebars. So, yeah. And let me tell you something. There's something magical to just listening while you're cycling and
Right.
hearing everything around you. I mean, I pass a lot of cows in pastures down here in Texas, so I can definitely appreciate that. Jessica, how about you? When you're not making your own music, what do you listen to music? Do you listen to other artists? Who do you enjoy?
For me, I listen to a lot of like horror podcasts as well outside of like music, and I don't know. I just really dig that kind of stuff. And like I said earlier, I'm a daydreamer, so I also have horrible ADHD. And I think that having something in my ear going, telling me something while I do other stuff, for some reason, it helps me focus on what the task I am doing. So I listen to a lot of horror podcasts. But then when I do, like when I'm driving, I prefer music over podcasts, and I drive a lot. And so I would say mostly lately, the stuff I've been listening to is a lot of health and Nine Inch Nails, and then I have Spotify, and so Spotify does this thing where it creates called day lists, and it's like makes these playlists based off of things that you kind of listen to during a certain time of day. And it's interesting because sometimes it'll be like this, like ethereal sleep music that I'm like listening to when I go to bed. So it'll be that randomly. I'm like, no. But most of the time it's either something industrial, definitely something electronic. It's and also Ghostbells is on that playlist too. Because like I said earlier, I do like the music we create. I feel like if I didn't like it, then I probably wouldn't be listening to it. Um, so that's the vibe.
Well, I've got two suggestions for you outside of your genre, but they're horror adjacent. So,
Okay.
Pretty Frankenstein, out of, I think they're in the Bay Area.
Hmm.
Just saw them at Dollfest, and then out of Mexico City, Bloody Benders. I
Okay, I'm gonna
think,
write these down so
yeah,
I can check
Bloody
them out.
Benders. More on the punk side, but definitely on the horror side. Two great bands that you may just feel akin to what they're saying. I think so.
I'm
Um,
here for it. Okay, I wrote it down. I'll check it out.
haven't seen Bloody Benders, but I did see Pretty Frankenstein a few weeks ago out at Dollfest, and from a genre standpoint, I think they'll connect with you. This has been fantastic, Jim. I wish you all the best in your recovery. As someone who has to use their voice, I can only imagine the trauma of having to go through having some vocal surgery. So please take good care of yourself. As someone who's been through many surgeries, I've ripped the tendons off of both
Ooh.
arms, tore things up. Listen to your doctors and do exactly what they say and no more, because when you feel good enough to get that extra boost of energy to say, I'm going to go the extra distance, sometimes it can do more harm than good. So I wish you all the best in your recovery. And it's been great to get to know the two of you. I wish you all the best. Prior to your next album and Jim being in better voice, let me know. We'll do this again.
Yes, thank you.
Who knows what we'll talk about. So thanks for joining me, everyone. Appreciate you spending time with myself and Ghostbells, getting to know them. Go out, support them, buy their music, buy their merch, buy the tickets. Everything's gonna be in below. And until next time, please show yourself a little love, compassion every single day, and then give that to others, because it helps make the world a better place. So until then, great to meet you all. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.